My name is A.y.a.n.n.a Horn, and I am going to be answering my 4 CCR questions for my Media Studies class. So, the first question is, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? And to me, I feel like my film does a little bit of both. My film does have basic horror conventions like heavy breathing and footsteps and loud, eerie sounds that really get the adrenaline going. But my acting, however, challenges it a little bit because it goes off of what I strictly wanted it to be. I was mainly aiming for more of a psychological horror film, but with the acting, it ended up seeming more like a horror comedy, which is okay, and it is still entertaining, and I feel that is the main point, but it definitely did make it shift completely. However, it does represent social groups and issues because it highlights the really large upbringing of traveling as groups and the whole Airbnb and rental properties and many teenagers in mainstream media traveling a lot, traveling around the world. That is the main goal as someone who is a part of Gen Z, as millennials. Traveling is big. And I feel like my movie kind of highlights how the ideas of going somewhere and just putting your trust into a place and not knowing the surrounding area or the location or the safety of where just vacationing would be. That strictly is what causes many to lose their lives and a lot of violence because we don't know what we have until it's too late. The next question would be, how does your product engage with audiences and how would it be distributed as a real media text? To me, I feel like my movie engages with the audience by giving that sort of horror comedy feel. It keeps you engaged, it gives you a good laugh, and that's really what you look for as a film producer, is someone that wants to keep their audience engaged. That's what gets you money, that's what gets your business booming, that is what it is, key to everything. So in my film, it wasn't necessarily something that I was aiming for. However, it does give an entertaining feel, and that is overall what I wanted. I wanted something to be able to be enjoyable for the people that watch it. And I feel like if I were to distribute this, I would target it more towards kids my age. Average horror movies that are in the mainstream media, their target audience is normally for those ages 15 to 26. So I would try to target my demographic more towards like Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat, advertisements like that. Even try to get with other subcategories like maybe streaming services like Netflix or Hulu and see what we could do to work together with that. But overall, I feel like my movie would be more targeted towards kids my age and maybe slightly older, like millennials and Gen Z, because it really just gives a comedic feel, and I feel like that targets perfectly to who I would like. How did my production skills develop throughout this project? In the beginning, when I wrote my script, I thought it was great. I thought that the dialogue between each character and the character names were perfect, and I loved it. But when I started my production, and me and my actors were discussing the dialogue between each other and discussing our lines, I realized that the dialogue that I wrote was more as if I was writing a story rather than having an actual conversation with the person. And I feel as if that specific reason was why I had to edit it so much, and I feel like more mainly like my movie was more a little like displaced, and I definitely would work on that and try to create more of like a connection between the characters and have more of a flow within the dialogue between each character. I learned how to use different camera angles without the use of a tripod or a dolly or a person. I set my camera angles up perfectly just using household objects, and I was able to capture parts where all of us could stand into a frame and fit and do our dialogue and act out our stuff perfectly, and it didn't even look that bad. Um, I also learned how important it is to have time management, as I was nearing my deadline and I was trying to work on getting it filmed, and then everybody was having issues with scheduling and having not knowing what times, even though I gave them the times. It was a little bit of a mess. So I feel that as if I needed to focus more on the time management, but now that I've learned that I need to give people proper time and give them exactly when and what and how, so that way it'll be more structured and more organized. I think overall I did learn the importance of how hard it is to conduct a film and be a director. It really is about being focused and being organized. And that is something that I wish I would have worked on a little bit more, but I'm glad that I learned the hard way, because now that I know. The final question is, how did I integrate technologies? And for me, filming, I used an iPhone 13 and I used an iPhone 12. I had two people use their phones for filming, but overall I used the 13. My friend, she did great with filming all of the other shots that I needed that she wasn't in. And overall, I really think that filming on a phone isn't as bad as it is. Being able to film a solid quality movie without having to use thousands of dollars of equipment is pretty impressive. Um, However, when it comes to editing, I did try to use a software in the beginning. It was called Director's Final something, but it was not good. It was good in the beginning. It was. I ended up using it to completely do my movie. I had everything edited. I had conventions in. I had transitions. I had background music. I had my introduction credits, and I had my end credits. However, once I wanted to save my film and get it in for submission, I realized that I did have to pay for it without a watermark. So this not only stressed me out, but frustrated me, because I had to then take all of my clips that I had and put them into iMovie, which comes onto my computer, so it was completely free. And it worked out in the end. I loved the way it came out, and I was able to put everything together and still have that great quality and be able to use the conventions like editing software, transitions, and background music. But I do believe that it was a lot more difficult in the editing stage. Trying to find a good quality editing software without having to pay an arm and a leg is difficult. But in the end, it worked out and it still looked great.